quick that confidence, that 10 out of 10 just dropped to like a 2. And so many women felt like they weren't an expert or they needed to go to school or take a course to justify the ability to do what they're doing. No, even if they were really great at it. A lot of times women tend to be people pleasers. And when you're at the helm of somebody else's schedule, be it clients, be it a boss, you're always putting what you have aside. You're probably not setting very good boundaries. It's not about the money. It's about how you feel doing the work, how you feel afterwards that really starts to affect the rest of your life. And for a lot of these women, that was a big part of it. So I've spent the last couple of weeks interviewing women who are in business, women who have children, who are working, who aren't working, and I can't wait to share with you the things that I have found out. It will blow your mind, the crazy things that I've knew, but now have a deeper understanding after interviewing 20 women who want work-life balance, who work from home, who work full-time. So today we're gonna get into 3 of the most shocking things that I found out after interviewing 20 women about work-life balance. Let's dive in. So the first thing that I think was something that I knew I was kind of ready for and expected is that when I discussed with women what they felt like the struggles of or what they could change when it came to working, being a mom, doing both, just doing one, is that they wish they had more flexibility. And this is kind of tied in with the idea of managing your time. And it wasn't so much I found that women felt like they were so busy. It was that they needed flexibility in their time, because when it comes to working from home or working with kids or just, at home with the kids, is you need to you have a million things that need to get done and you need to prioritize all of them. And a lot of those tasks have absolutely nothing to do with you because you're taking care of everybody else. Even if you're at work or if you're at home, you're taking care of the family. And one of the biggest things is they're really busy, but they have time to do all the things that they want to do. And so having these conversations, it was really interesting to hear that having that flexibility would help them create space for more things they wanted to do. Now, a big piece of this I found with women is that when you're in a workspace, or even if you're at home, is that a lot of times women tend to be people pleasers. And when you're at the helm of somebody else's schedule, be it clients, be it a boss, you're always putting what you have aside. You're probably not setting very good boundaries when it comes to your personal space, your personal time, and you're trying to please all these people around you, which leads to, the stress and the anxiety around having this more strict schedule. And when you have children especially, your schedule is pretty unpredictable for how scheduled it is. When they're little, it's, booked around nap time and you can only get work done at that time. If it's even older, it's like, what if your kid is sick? What if your kid's sick for a week and you can't go into work? What does that look like? Do you have flexibility to work from home? Are you expected to take a sick day or a holiday day? And so I think women are faced with this really interesting challenge of needing a flexible schedule, but still happy and eager to get work done, because there's one myth that is huge when it comes to, I feel like all the gurus out there, is they tell us that we can't multitask and that that's bad and we need to be focused on one thing, which I do agree with. There are times when that's very important. But if there's a superpower that women have, especially mothers, it is multitasking. And if we're given the flexibility to throw in a load of laundry, start dinner, clean the bathroom, then do some work for an hour, it is amazing what we can accomplish. But without that flexibility, you're having this feeling of, okay, I'm working, but I don't feel like my whole brain is here. And then when you're home, you're thinking about work and you're not totally present with your kids. And so you're never really feeling you're doing a good job at anything because you're always pulling time away from somebody else. Whereas, when you have maybe your own business, you have that flexibility to work when it works for you. And if you need to move things around, that's okay, because it's your business and it's up to you. And so that was one of the first things that I kind of knew was coming, was the flexibility piece was really good. But I knew that was going to be one of the biggest struggles when I was having these conversations. Now, the second thing that I also found really interesting, and through 20 conversations, that it was this same line that almost all women, like I said, if they didn't have children yet, but they started their own business, or they just had a new baby and they're on mat leave, or they worked from home, or, they had their own business, they didn't really get a mat leave, all these different walks of life, is when it came to work, one of the most important things was having purpose. And so it wasn't just about making money for most of them. It was about having the purpose in their work. They knew that they were capable of getting a job to make money, but almost felt frustrated doing tasks that felt really mundane or were just checking boxes. And it was the idea that if they were going to take time away from their family and being with their kids, the work needs to be worth it, because otherwise you're like, what is the point of me doing all of this if I'm not feeling vivacious after, if it's not filling my cup? And I think that's one of the biggest things I find with the work I do is when I'm done working, I have more energy for my kids and my family. Whereas when I was doing work, if I do even work in my business now, that is a drag for me to do. I don't want to do it. It's at the bottom of my list all the time. When I go then to interact with my kids, I'm drained from it and I'm exhausted and I can't show up as my fullest self. So it's not about the money. It's about how you feel doing the work, how you feel afterwards, that really starts to affect the rest of your life. And for a lot of these women, that was a big part of it. It was, I know I could go do this work. I have all this admin work I can work on, but it wasn't enough. So that was the second thing that I thought was really interesting, is a lot of the women were just feeling like the purpose piece and sitting in their values was way more important than a monetary, check in the mail every 2 weeks. And now the third thing that I found the most interesting and surprising is every woman I talk to, I ask them, in your expertise level, like if they had a business idea, and they wanted to start their own business, and if they were a mother, out of all the things, how did they feel like their expertise level was? And all of them said, oh, when it comes to being a mom, no, I got this. I can manage that. Like, I know that like the back of my hand, like 10 out of 10. They got it. Fully confident, competent, all the things. But then when it came to starting their own business, it was like, oh, well, it's just a hobby, or I just do it for friends and family. I didn't go to school for it. Like I'd have to take a course, or it's and the downplaying was mind-blowing. How quick that confidence, that 10 out of 10 just dropped to like a 2. And so many women felt like they weren't an expert, or they needed to go to school or take a course to justify the ability to do what they're doing. No, even if they were really great at it, right? Even if they had built websites and done social media for friends and family, they didn't count that as legit work. And I pose the question here as if you knew a man in the similar situation, would they say and talk about it the same way? Is it this idea that women kind of play small often, that we don't want to be too showy? We don't want to get out there and be like, hey, I'm really good at this thing, right? Like you don't need a course. You don't always need something to give you this accreditation that you're capable of doing stuff. We didn't take a course on motherhood, right? We just could do it. It was innate in who we were. And I guarantee with a lot of these women, there's something they're just naturally really talented at and really good at. And if you do it enough times and you practice and you learn naturally, courses and learning and education are fantastic. And they do help boost our confidence to help know that we really know what we're doing. But it is not essential to starting your own business or starting your own passion project or charging money for what you do. And I just found it really interesting how quick, this bright, confident woman was about to belittle her natural gifts because you didn't have some sort of piece of paper that said, oh yes, you can do this. And obviously there are niches and industries where you do need to have those things and they're great to do along the way, but that should by no means stop you from getting started. It's just sometimes this old way of thinking that I think, our parents would pass down to us, that you need to go to school, you need to get a degree. I did all those things. Is any of that relevant to what I do now? Like I went to school for business, but, we learned in a different day and age that not a ton of it applies, or not anything that I could have learned at this point. So, after doing these interviews with women, I found it so interesting, the commonalities and the threads through all of it. And I'm going to share more of what I've learned. I'm working on a new program I'm really excited about to kind of tap into each of these things, because I feel like there's a ton of potential sitting out there. And if we can get past these struggles of needing the flexibility, wanting to do something purposeful, and having the confidence to move forward without some special course to teach you how to do what you just love and naturally are good at doing. I think there's something really magical there, and I want to explore that more. So thanks for joining me on this journey. And if you're feeling this way about any of these three things I touched on, I'd challenge you to push yourself out of your comfort zone and see what you potentially could do yourself to kind of change that whole story, and maybe start your dream career, your passion project that gives you the flexibility that you want, that gives you the purpose that you want to feel, and at the same time you feel confident and excited to talk about. So I'm curious to see if any of that tickles your fancy or makes you excited. Anyways, we'll see you next time.